G'day groovy humans, and welcome to a groovy enlightened life. Today we will be exploring stage 3 of the 4 stages to self-discovery. Now, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, best you go and recap at episode 2, where we talk about the 4 stages in the framework, just a bit of an overview. Hit up episode 5, which is stage 1, talking about alignment to self, and episode 7, which is stage 2, talking about alignment to oneness. In this episode, we will be discovering who I am by uncovering and living in alignment to my purpose. I hope you can join me on this groovy journey today as we explore all about our purpose. So find a random place to lie down, relax, and let's get started. Alignment to your purpose. Now, this is probably one of the harder stages for me to share and explain my thoughts and opinions about. And it's because it's a very complex sort of area and potentially not as easy to grasp the concept of. But we'll give it a crack and we'll see how we go. Alignment to your purpose, as part of this framework that I've built for myself, is that intersection between stage 1 and 2. Stage 1 being the alignment to self, and stage 2 being alignment to oneness. Now, in alignment to self, in stage 1, we're identifying who we are, and we're starting to come to that realization that we're more than we perceive ourselves to be. We are also part of a greater consciousness, part of the greater universe, source, whatever you would like to call it. In stage 2, we're talking about that connection, that alignment to oneness, and practicing that as often as we can, so we can develop and nurture that connection and come to a deeper understanding of how our actions, our feelings, our thoughts, our words impact everything around us. And with those 2 stages, we're starting to realize that we create our own reality. That's what all this is about. We create our own reality and have the ability to change our current life, our current situation that we are living in. So in stage 3, we're starting to experiment and explore and take from stage 1 and stage 2 and start to filter out those things that no longer serve us. And by filtering those things out that no longer serve us and letting them go, we start to establish a better understanding of what it is we truly want, what it is that feels in true alignment to ourselves and to how we want to create that world we want to be a part of. And with this exploration and experimentation, we start to really understand what truly lights us up, what brings us joy and happiness. And as we inch closer to that alignment to our purpose, we gain the clarity and the confidence to start to really understand, what am I here for and what am I here to do? How am I here to contribute to the greater good of all? Now, I'm going to throw a spanner in the works straight up, really early in this episode. And it is around the question, when we think about purpose, who is asking that question or thinking about that question? Is it our ego or is it our consciousness? Dun, dun, dun. Well, I'm here to tell you it's all about our identity, our ego. Absolutely. Our ego needs to exist. That part of ourselves needs to have identity and live and exist in this world. It does not mean that seeking one's purpose is futile. Now, in certain religions or certain belief systems, they will talk about this in particular. They'll talk about how it is our egoic self that is in pursuit of purpose. And our true purpose is self-realization or enlightenment, using those types of terms, which is absolutely true. I don't actually disagree with any of that, which is why I mentioned earlier that The topic of purpose is quite a complex one. Now, you may or may not have heard me talk about this before, but I have a deep belief that we all are unique human beings, right down to, our DNA, our blueprints, what we're here for, where we come from. Everything is so unique, and therefore I believe that we all have a unique soul's purpose. And as I may have mentioned in episode 2, not a lot of people resonate with the concept of a soul's purpose. A lot of people talk about life purpose, and I separate those things out a little bit in the way I think. So a life purpose for me is all the things that we do, and we can have multiple life purposes in a lifetime. So it's all that who we are, it's all what we do, and it's all who we wish to be. So it's things like a purpose could quite simply be you are a parent. You could be a caretaker, caregiver for somebody in your life. They're kind of titles and things that are a purpose. And a lot of this life purpose stuff, in my opinion, comes from stage 1, alignment to self. It's that identity stage. It's that discovering those things that light us up. It's discovering all those titles and labels that we have placed on ourselves. And it's using those and our skills, our talents, our strengths, and combining them together into some activity or some work that we do. It can be our vocation. And you may have seen those Venn diagrams that get around with the overlapping circles, where in one circle it might talk about your strengths or your talents, the thing that you want to get paid for, or the type of work you want to do, or the type of lifestyle you want to live. And the overlapping circles, right in the middle is that sweet spot where they talk about purpose. Now that's the type of life purpose that I'm talking about. It's all those things wrapped together, like in a little Venn diagram, in the circles right into the middle there. And remembering that we can have multiple of these in our lifetimes. And it doesn't have to be all about the work that we do. It can be a hobby, it can just be a life choice, a lifestyle that you're wanting to live. It can also just be you donating your services, your time freely to community. There is no one way to do this, and we need to stop getting hung up on trying to seek this ultimate one thing that's going to appease everything in our life, because it doesn't exist. It's all about experimentation and exploration. And when we do that, we start to filter out those things that we don't enjoy, that don't serve us anymore, that are not the dreams that we thought we had. And as we filter those layers out, we get closer and closer to what it is we truly want to create in this world, in this lifetime, and in our life. Now, when I talk about soul's purpose, it goes back to that belief that I have that we are all unique human beings and therefore have a unique soul's purpose. I could talk about how, from our biology, our DNA, our epigenetics, tell us that we are quite unique. And I could also talk about some of the more spiritual aspects and teachings, which talk about how we all come to Earth with a certain blueprint and a certain mission, a certain purpose that we're here to fulfill. I can also talk about karmic debt and how our actual purpose, our actual soul's purpose, is to uplift that karmic debt. I could also talk about how we are spirits or souls having a human experience. There's so many different concepts, ideas, and beliefs which are all correct. And the reason why they are correct is because it goes back to the fact that we create our own reality. So what we perceive and what we believe in becomes real, becomes true. Now that could be clincher number 2 in this episode that makes things a little bit complex, is that what we believe and what we perceive in the world will always be true, and it will be what we always create. Now I like to look at our soul's purpose from as simpler perspective as possible. And to me, it's all about a journey. It's about that journey to self-realization, to answering that question, who am I? To developing that connection to oneness and living as much in alignment to our true selves as we possibly can. Now, as we go on this journey, this is where we get to this uniqueness part. As we are traveling on our journey, we can only experience our journey in our unique way. We cannot experience it in somebody else's way. We may be influenced by other people, but it will always be our own unique journey, and therefore our own unique soul's purpose. The next layer of that, which I'd like to talk about and expose, and I guess my thinking and opinions and understandings, is that when we're going through this framework and we're really starting to filter out those things, as I mentioned before, we're starting to understand what we really want to create in this world, you will get to this place where things start to connect, where things start to align so much that a weight is lifted. Things don't feel heavy anymore. All of a sudden there's this lightness inside you, and you realize, this is it. This is the thing I'm supposed to be doing. This is the thing I'm here to be doing. This is what I need to pursue. Now that's different for everybody. The experience is different for everybody. But the important part is it is an experience, and it is a feeling that we have of that experience. It is not something we think. And that's where, as humans, we tend to get a little bit hung up on things in life, is it's all about the thinking. We try to think our way through lives. We try to think about, what is our purpose? What is the purpose? Why am I here? What is my soul's purpose? Always this constant questioning and this constant quest of logic to try and logic our way to discovering our soul's purpose and living it in this lifetime. And that's not the way to go about it, because it is a journey, it is an experience. And when we start to understand a little bit deeper around our purpose, and we start to connect in, and we start to go on that journey, and we stop questioning, and we start to surrender and let go, and we start to build acceptance into our lives become filled with ease and grace. You will be absolutely surprised with how easy things become, because we develop this foundational understanding of who we are and what we're here to do. And then we can start to live in alignment to that and express that in the world in only the way that we can, and in only the way that fulfills us and lights us up and brings joy to our lives and to the world around us. So when I talk about alignment to your purpose, I'm talking about bringing into harmony those worldly pursuits, our wants, our needs, all those things in alignment to self in stage 1. And we bring that into harmony in stage 2, alignment to oneness, where we discover that we're connected to all things. And through the act of bringing those two things together and harmonizing them, we invite growth, expansion, evolution into our lives, which ultimately puts us on the path of alignment to our purpose. See how this is a little bit of a roundabout thing? Bit circular in nature. Now this episode is really and truly only scratching the surface of talking about and delving deep into alignment to your purpose. It's not something that we learn about, it's something that we experience. And it is only through action that we will ever move towards alignment to our soul's purpose. Now, today's episode may have been a lot to take in, And I really encourage you to come and join us over at tribe.agroovyandlightenlife.com, because that's where we have discussions and talk a little bit more about and go deeper around these episodes at A Groovy and Light and Life. And if you're chasing any show notes, head over to sagacityrising.com/AGEL009. Thank you once again for taking time out of your life to join me today. Stay groovy, humans. Maya out.